The world of One Piece has many devil fruits, with each having interesting and otherworldly abilities. But not all devil fruits are created equally. While some fruits grant incredible abilities such as lightning control, creating earthquakes, or even becoming a literal god, others are not so incredible. The right devil fruit can turn a character from not so impressive to a force of nature. Some characters are near unstoppable with their devil fruits, but without it they are pretty unimpressive. There have been many examples of characters whose abilities have taken them to great heights, which begs the question, how strong would these characters be without their devil fruits? As a result, I have decided to create this series called Carried, where I will look at how strong a character is with their devil fruit, and then gauge how strong they would be without it. The goal of this series is to look at various devil fruit users across the series, and at the end of the video we will answer one question: is this character being carried by their devil fruit or not? Every devil fruit user forms a fighting style around their devil fruit, but some rely on their fruits more than others. It's time to find out who is carried by their fruit and who is not. Room Shambles. Hearing these words make you think about one man, Trafalgar D. Water Law. Law's devil fruit, the Opi Opi no Mi, is undeniably the most iconic aspect of his character. This fruit has helped make him one of the most popular and powerful characters in the series. Ever since he was first showcased at Sabaody, Law has captivated viewers with his devil fruit's creative abilities. If it wasn't obvious from the thumbnail and the title of the video, in this episode of the Carried series, we are going to evaluate the Surgeon of Death himself, Trafalgar Law. Outside of Luffy and Zoro, Law is the supernova we have seen the most from combat-wise, so there is a lot to discuss. He has many impressive showings, such as cutting a mountain on Punk Hazard and cutting a meteorite on Greenbit. He has even fought characters at just about every level of strength, from characters as weak as Tashigi to characters as strong as Kaido. Law has made it pretty far as a pirate, thanks to the crazy abilities of the appropriately named Opi Opi no Mi. But just how far would he get without it? Today we are going to answer the question, is Trafalgar Law being carried by his devil fruit or not? Before we get into it, I did want to mention that I will be adding a few more categories to evaluate going forward with the series. We will look at durability and endurance together, attack power and destructive capability together, speed and reaction speed together, and another category I will call fighting prowess, which I will explain later in the video. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Looking at Law's durability is pretty interesting. The Opi Opi no Mi does give Law a boost to his durability. With the fruit, Law could remove his own internal organs and be perfectly fine. Just look at Punk Hazard as an example. Law removed his own heart and was still able to function without it. Obviously, being able to remove vital organs and putting them somewhere else would be great before going into an actual fight. Of course, without his devil fruit, he would not be capable of doing that. So just how durable is Law without the Opi Opi no Mi? He was shot point blank by Doflamingo multiple times, and the next time we saw him, he was pretty much fine. I know bullets in One Piece are about as dangerous as kunai in Naruto, but Law still survived the very thing that killed Corazon. Law was also able to continue fighting even after Doflamingo severed his arm, which does count as a great endurance feat. When we look at Law's durability during the Wano arc, that's where he gets much better feats. On the rooftop, Kaido hit Law with Thunder Bagua, and Law survived. Law endured the very same attack that one-shotted Luffy earlier in the arc. You could argue that he did not receive a direct impact like Luffy did, since Zoro and Law were hit by the same attack, but the fact remains that he was able to take the attack, and was still able to go help Kid defeat Big Mom. Speaking of Big Mom, she landed multiple armament hockey punches on Law when he was using his Puncture Willy attack. Law was able to endure the onslaught of punches from Big Mom, and still able to complete his attack. This is significant because ever since Big Mom was young, she was abnormally strong, even being able to kill a giant warrior from Elbaf as a 5-year-old girl. Big Mom has naturally gotten several times stronger since then, and was even using armament hockey to boost the power of her punches. For Law to endure the barrage of punches from Big Mom is nothing short of impressive. In short, Law has pretty solid durability and endurance. When it comes to Law's speed, there isn't much to see here. Because his devil fruit allows him to teleport, he doesn't rely on his own movement speed. He doesn't have the same movement or combat speed as someone like Sanji. Even when Luffy, Law, and Kid were competing to destroy a beast pirate ship, Law explicitly told Luffy and Kid that they could not compete with him in the rain, because of his ability to teleport. Even in his fight against Big Mom, Law completely relied on the Opi Opi no Mi's ability to teleport throughout the fight to get openings on Big Mom. Law himself has stated that creating rooms uses up stamina, so if he had great movement speed on his own, he would not need to rely on his devil fruit. Without his devil fruit, Law's speed is nothing impressive, and is average at best. Law has shown some pretty impressive reaction times, with him swapping the bullets fired at him by the G5 soldiers as they were already coming towards him. He also reacted to and blocked Doflamingo's overheat attack, which was able to reach from Greenbit all the way to Dressrosa almost instantly. To put into context how far that is, when Robin and Usopp were on the bridge heading from Dressrosa to Greenbit, they could not even see the other end of the bridge. Law was also able to react and block an attack from Kaido with his antibacterial curtain, and he was also able to react to Big Mom's attacks during their fight. Overall, Law has solid reaction speed feats. With his Devil Fruit, Law has insane range. He was able to create a room large enough for him to cut a mountain in half. By shortening his life, he created a room so large that Doflamingo did not even notice he was in it until Law told him. He has the Puncture Willy attack that extended from Onigashima up in the sky, all the way down to the surface of Wano, and further beyond that to the volcano underneath Wano. He was also able to fly in a way by manipulating the ground underneath him within his room. Naturally, without his Devil Fruit, he would lack this absurd range. That doesn't mean he has no range at all though. Law still has his sword Kikoku, which is a very long katana, but I will come back to Law and his sword skills later in the video. We also saw from Law's flashback that he was trained in how to use firearms at a young age by Gladius. Although we have never seen him use a gun since then, he should be well versed in how to use them, so at the very least, Law has the range of Kikoku and maybe a pistol to rely on. Then we take a look at Law's attack power and destructive capabilities. Thanks to his Devil Fruit, Law is able to cut and manipulate anything in his room. He is even able to bypass external defense and deal internal damage with his attacks such as Radio Knife, Shock Willy, and Puncture Willy. Without his Devil Fruit, Law has next to no real attack power. People often bring up Law cutting a mountain or cutting a meteorite as great sword feats, but these are not sword feats. If anything, these are Devil Fruit feats. Law was only able to cut the mountain and the meteorite because they were in his room. We know that Law lacks this kind of power on his own because, like I mentioned earlier, Law's fruit uses up a lot of stamina. If he was capable of using sword slashes powerful enough to cut mountains without relying on his Devil Fruit, he would do it. So far in this series, we have not seen Law attempt to fight anyone without first using his Devil Fruit. We have never seen him coat his sword in armament haki, or even use range attacks with his sword. To say that Law's attack power and destructive capabilities would take a hit without his Devil Fruit would be an understatement. When it comes to this series, I have to think to myself, how would this character fight without their Devil Fruit? And for Law, the answer is simple. He is a swordsman. Yes, he uses his sword to amplify the effects of his Devil Fruit, but even without the Opi Opi no Mi, Law is still a very skilled swordsman. Even before he had the fruit, he was trained in swordsmanship by Diamante. And even as an adult, Law still carries and fights with a sword at all times. Law's sword Kikoku is a staple in his overall fighting style. Kikoku is a cursed blade, but as of right now, we don't know which sword grade it falls under, so it is hard to know which category of swords to compare it to. As I mentioned earlier, Law is a skilled swordsman. He was able to fight against Smoker on Punk Hazard and Hawkins on Wano, mostly using his sword skills. He was able to block Doflamingo's Overheat attack with just his sword skills alone. Overheat is an attack that was shown to be incredibly fast, as well as capable of cutting through buildings like butter. The fact that Law blocked it showcases his quick reaction time, sword skills, and the high quality of his sword Kikoku. Law did not coat his sword in armament haki similar to what we have seen from other swordsmen like Zoro and Odin, and despite that, his sword was unaffected by Doflamingo's attack. We don't know which haki Law specializes in, but we do know that he can use both armament and observation haki. His observation haki is comparable to Zoro, as they both reacted to the Minks on Zou at the same time. His armament haki is average at best, as we have never seen him coat his sword in armament haki similar to what we have seen from Zoro, Odin, or even the Red Scabbards. Law was also taught martial arts from Lao Ji, but we have never seen how proficient he is in it. So after it is all said and done, is Trafalgar Law being carried by his Devil Fruit or not? Looking at the stats, we have a character with solid durability and endurance, average movement speed, impressive reaction speed, less than desirable range, subpar AP and DC, and is a solid combatant. And the answer is yes, he is absolutely carried by his Devil Fruit. Overall, Law's sword skills are the real deal, but like I mentioned earlier, he lacks the power of someone like Zoro, or the speed of someone like Sanji. Law also has decent but not great haki. Looking at everything left in Law's arsenal, it is not enough for me to say he would still be as successful as he is without his Devil Fruit. Without his Devil Fruit, he would be useless against Kaido and Big Mom, and if he had better haki, he may have put up a better fight against Blackbeard. As Kaido stated, haki transcends all, and Law's haki is not where it needs to be. One thing Law does have going for him is the fact that he is a swordsman. Throughout One Piece, the strongest non-Devil Fruit characters have been swordsmen, with one exception. If Law improved his haki and leaned more into his sword skills, he would undoubtedly become one of the strongest characters in the series, with or without his Devil Fruit. But hey, this is just my opinion, and people are free to agree or disagree. Let me know how strong you think Law would be without his Devil Fruit. Me personally, I don't see him getting past someone like Killer without his Devil Fruit. And if you liked this video, you can watch the other episodes in this series in the playlist right here. Or you can watch my last One Piece discussion on why Elbaf will be legendary. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video or a dislike if you didn't, and consider subscribing for more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching.